Hi there and welcome back to Drawing Inspiration. In this video I'll be showing you my design for a countryside theme with a cottage and fields and whatnot. I had a lot of fun making this. This is actually my 18th day Inktober sketch, but I thought I'd kill two birds with one stone with this one. So I hope you guys enjoy. Like with any new project, I start by drawing the basic shapes, the outline so to speak. For example, the house here I used an oblong and triangle, or a rhombus, I'm not entirely sure what it's technically called. I know it's a prism, that school taught me when I was very young. But I also draw the basic outlines for where the wall would be. But right here you can see I've been refining the image. I'm starting to put the rocks in for the wall, I put the windows and the doors in, and I started to curve out the top of the roof and put the chimney in, ready to start refining into what the image is supposed to be. At this point I'm still sort of planning what I'm going to do, but I thought I'd get a little bit of detail in there because I definitely know I wanted to do the rocks here. Here you can see I start to have a little bit of trouble with the perspective of what the stones in the wall would actually look like. But I end up just rubbing it out and then trying with something else, getting myself used to the whole picture again, and then came back to it later. Here you can see it, I kind of got used to the perspective by this point, and I was able to draw the rocks in the wall much easier now. I just need to spend a little bit of time working out and getting used to how the picture. A little thing I do whenever I'm starting to get frustrated because I can't draw something correctly, I'll just ignore it or rub it out, and then I'll move on to something else within that picture in order to just give myself a fresh perspective or a bit of ease of mind. That way when I come back to it I've got a fresh look at it and I can hopefully do better. So here I was drawing a tree to try and fill in that massive white space, but I found that it kind of blocked out a lot of the house and the tree behind it, which I kind of want to block out. So what I end up doing is rubbing it out and then start details of the house in order to give myself a fresh perspective and give me an idea. And the whole time I was doing this I was thinking about what can I put there, what can I start building. I end up drawing a rock here, which you can see, and I put a little bit of small weeds and plants as well, what you'd expect in a field or some sort of garden. So here I've begun the inking stage. Normally in this stage I would use my brush tip, but I felt like the brush tip would sort of block out a lot of the detail I could get. So I used a 0.8 for this, for the thicker lines, and you'll see me later go back in with a 0.1 and that'll do the finer details. I do then eventually use my brush tip as to give the thicker, more dynamic lines, but for now I'm just using the hard tip fine liners because I was worried about losing detail. Here you can see I'm rubbing out the lines. In a moment you'll see me just fill in the details that I've missed and start the shading. Now normally what I do with my shading is that I plan it out with a pencil beforehand, but with the amount of, I don't want to say mess, but the amount of detail in those walls, I was concerned that I wouldn't be able to get the lines properly. So I just went for it, just risked it essentially. Now looking back, wish I did spend a little bit of time with the pencil, because every line I made I couldn't revert, which is quite interesting, especially as I spent a lot of time on the computer, and having that fallback of being able to just control Z it, oh my gosh, that was American, to control Z it and just go back was like a really nice feeling, but with this I'm not able to do that, so I was like, just gotta commit, which was very nerve-wracking, but I thought, you know what, let's just give it a go. Here you can see I use my brush tip then to do the thicker lines, just to bump it out of the page a little bit more. I felt like it was moulding in too much and it was just creating too much clutter. By using thicker lines, I'm able to separate the individual parts of the rocks, for example the top, the middle, the bottom. And I did it on both sides and generally where the shadow was as well. So if it, for example, I did majority of the thicker lines on the right hand side of every object within the picture, because the light source was coming from the left. So by doing it on the right, a thicker line, it indicated there was a bigger shadow there. Here I'm just finishing off the details I missed, such as the details in the rocks or the shading that I felt should get a little bit darker. I feel like it just gives a nice aesthetic if there's a little bit more detail in the rocks, which are already very highly detailed in comparison to the rest of the picture. And this is what the final picture actually looks like. Now, I know it looks very cartoony and I wish there was more detail in it, but at the same time I kind of like the fact that it is a cartoony with more detail than expected. Now the shading along the left hand side of the wall, so the left wall but the right hand side of it, so where the shading is, I felt like it was a bit too sketchy, and for future references I won't be doing that again. I'll make sure my lines are a little bit cleaner. But overall I'm very happy with how the piece turned out, and I'm very happy to have it as my Inktober for the 18th day. So this is the end of the video. I really hope you guys enjoyed watching it. Of course, hit the like button if you did, dislike button if you didn't. Please comment if you'd like anything else you'd like me to do in the future or something. Don't forget to subscribe to stay tuned for more content, and in the centre there, watch my most recent video. Until next time, see you later.